Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Wednesday, November 15th, 2023 Menomonee Falls Public Library Board of Trustees meeting to order. First, we're going to go into a public comment period. The Library Board of Trustees will hold a public comment period for the purpose of allowing the non-appointed public the opportunity to address the board regarding any matter that involves the library or matters over which the Library Board of Trustees has authority to take. The public comment session will last no longer than 15 minutes, and individual presentations are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. These time limits may be extended at the discretion of the board president. Library board members shall not respond to or debate matters raised during public comments. Public comment should be addressed to the library board as a body. Any questions or comments posed to an individual member of the library board will be deemed out of order by the board president. Presentations shall not deal in personalities or personal attacks on members of the board, the applicant for any project, library employees, or residents of the village of Menomonee Falls. No campaigning for political office is allowed during the comment period. Comments, questions, and concerns shall be presented in a respectful and professional manner. Any individual violating these expectations will be deemed out of order by the board president. Do we have anyone that would like to speak?
Good evening. I'm Kathy Flower on West 172 North 8881 Shady Lane, and I am here to sing some praises tonight.
Can you turn up the recorder? You can grab it too if you'd like. That's easier.
Is it on?
Yep.
Yes, it is. Okay. Now, since joining our library in July of 2020, Library Director Jackie Rayner has proven herself to be an invaluable asset, bringing a fresh perspective and innovative ideas that have truly transformed the library experience for the patrons. Her dedication and leadership shine through in her exceptional achievements. Under her leadership now, the library has Wi-Fi access in the parking lots, self-checkout kiosks, expanded story times for evenings for families. The library now has 5 new spaces including teen space, tween space, maker space, local history room, and a quiet sensory room. The library now has a comprehensive and well-balanced program schedule ranging from book clubs, local history, multicultural ventures, and even adult gaming club. If you look at the library calendar, it is filled with activities. The library now has a business partnership with the YMCA, Optimist, Community League, and Downtown Business Center. The library now has a strategic plan with a clear direction for the future. As the library director, Jackie Rayner has demonstrated an unparalleled commitment to our community through her tireless efforts, boundless enthusiasm, and numerous accomplishments. We are fortunate and proud to have such an asset working for the Menomonee Falls Library. Thank you, Jackie.
Can I have your sheet, please?
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Fill out a form first.
I did not.
He can do it. You can do it after.
Good evening. I'm Bob Weiland. I have been around the library quite a while and have been a pretty good supporter of the library. I was instrumental in founding the Friends of the Library many years ago when I was on the village board as a trustee. I think the library has made...
You can't hear him.
I think the library is just outstanding now. It has made tremendous strides, and I really haven't been that familiar with all the stuff that you mentioned, but I think Jackie has really done a great job. So I appreciate it if you all support her as much as you can. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Can I
You
speak
can
and then fill out the form?
Yes,
Okay, because then I'll speak first and then
that's
I'll...
totally fine.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Jason Kleidus, Menomonee Falls resident. Speaking up on behalf of myself, my neighbors, just really a fan of the Bridges system, and I saw it was on the agenda, so I wanted to speak to that because we leverage the library here. Other libraries, they have audio books. We love it, and we think it's tremendous value, so hoping it continues for another year. That's all. Thanks.
Thank
The forms are back there.
Yep.
I'm gonna go fill up. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak?
Danielle Benetti, I've been a resident of Menomonee Falls for 13 years. I've come to a lot of board meetings, school board, village board, library board. I just would like the respect of the people who show up to these meetings, for the people on board to at least acknowledge their presence by listening and looking at them when they're speaking. I am kind of almost embarrassed by the lack of that on some members of this board. Thank you.
Throw it from one time. I came down here from another board meeting. Down here. Okay.
You can hold on to it, no problem.
There you go. Hold it.
My name is Bonnie Lemmer. I live in Menomonee Falls. I've lived here for, I think, 31 years. I'm a senior, so you wouldn't think I have much use to use this library, but I really worry about the funds that might not be available to keep the library opening for the hours that it's open and for the services it provides. If anybody's not been here or used the library a lot, all these meeting rooms you have here, they're all free to organizations to use as they want. I use the children's room for New Connections class I teach. New Connections rents this out. I've come here for altar meetings, a bunch of other things. And if you go up to the library, all the beautiful closed-door glass offices or rooms that kids can study in, people can meet for small businesses. I had an insurance man come and meet me here, along with my girlfriend who came from New Berlin. We could go back and back and have our meeting very quietly. The maker's room is absolutely wonderful, and I can see it growing because I've been to the maker's room at Waukesha Library. And if the funds are cut or big changes are made and the library starts closing early or closes some days, our residents, the children, they're not going to be able to come here. I mean, the Boy Scouts and all the other young kids have meetings here at night. And I just want everybody to know that this is a wonderful, wonderful community. And we have a library, and this is what brings people to live in our community because of what we offer. So I think we have to keep growing with the library and just make sure that we offer everything to everybody that needs it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
I do need forms from everybody. I've only got 2 so far, so haven't filled them out. Please fill them out. You can speak first, but make sure you fill out a form.
Thank you. My name is Ann Wyler. I live at West 182 North 9049 Lane. Longtime resident of this community. I brought my children here when the library was over there, and it was a tiny spot with very few windows and not many books. And those of us in this community have worked really hard to make this the wonderful place that it is. And I'm very proud of it because it's a community place that my grandchildren go to, my children go to, members of the community go to. It's a resource, as someone said, it's a community place. And it has evolved over the years from that tiny spot over there into this place that has more things in it. It's not just books anymore. It has evolved with the demands of the community. So I'm here to really urge you to support it. And also to make sure that this community has an excellent library, because that's an attraction for businesses, it's an attraction for residents, And it's really important that we maintain this in the fine shape that it's in. One more thing apropos to the collection. This is just a quick story. I served on the Shane Lane Book Club, book fair for many years. And one year, many years ago, Scholastic was presenting a new book, and they called us into a meeting and said, we've had some really big concerns about this book. Some people have come out against it. They don't want children to read it. And we want you to know that it's a story that we think is about a bunch of kids who were brave, who recognized the difference between good and evil, and we did something about it. That was in 1999. And they said, we're going to put it in the collection, and we're going to put it in your book fair. But not everybody has to buy it, but we want you to know that this is a great story and we think kids ought to read it. That book was Harry Potter. So I'm here to say that not everybody has to read every book, but everybody needs access to every book. Might not be someone's cup of tea, but we need to keep our collection robust so that everybody in this community has a book that is for them. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to speak? Right, so this is your... All right, so first we got approval of the minutes for the last regular meeting from October 20th, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second. Is there any debate?
We still haven't gotten a copy of the library friend's social media policy. It's in here saying that they will send it to us.
So,
I was representative, I'll ask them to get it to us. Thank you.
any more discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes from the last regular meeting of October 20th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next, we got the discussion regarding financial report options. Ellen?
All right. So in front of you, there are 4 different reports. They all have the same exact data. The first sheet is the one that you've always gotten. The second one says there's no date per check, so it's by vendor. And then the description's in the middle, but there's no actual date that that check was written. The next one is, has the date at the top, and then all the vendors that were paid on that date. And then the last one has the date next to each expense that was made. So what I need from you is which one that you like the best.
Ask a question. Do all 4 of these take the same amount of time for you to produce?
Yes.
If I can ask, would there be a reason why we would change from what we were doing before?
One of the board members has asked for a change.
Okay.
What I was going to say is, if you pick one tonight, we can always change it too. It's not, this is nothing set in stone. We don't even need a motion. We just want to make everybody happy, so.
How would you like us to title this? Which one do we want?
I
On the first page, it says at the top in writing, yeah.
So I guess I would go with date all vendors paid on that date. Is my choice.
So that gives the date at the top, and then every single vendor that was paid on that day. That's the one, right?
That one, I think that's fine. I think for question purposes, because if you see like it says 10/3, okay, we paid Amazon on 10/3, but then on page 3, it says, okay, we paid Amazon again. So just for like quick reference, it might be easier to do the date for each purchase because that breaks it down by vendor, but it still gives you the dates. But it's not jumping around, oh, you have Amazon listed on page 1, Amazon listed on page 3, and then Amazon listed on page 6. Just for clarity, if you're, like if someone were to ask, oh, what did you buy from Amazon? For our purposes, it would be easier to do no date per check or date for each purpose, just because the vendor is all in one spot. So, but it's totally up to you.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
Date for each purpose. It sounds
Okay.
like it makes it a little cleaner.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the one you're gonna approve. And that's just mine, yeah. It doesn't need a vote, just.
Does that work?
As long as there's no objections to that.
Does that work for everybody's needs in terms of the information and what's what on there? Or is there anything additional?
You can still ask for more detail.
Awesome. All right, so moving forward, we will use the date for each purchase form.
Next, we have the bill approval for October 2023 and the total amount of $86,804.24.
I move to approve the bill for October 2023 in the amount of $86,804.24.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the October 2023 bill and the total amount of $86,804.24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we'd like to recognize Jessica Cole for her 2.5 years of service on the library board. She couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, but I did make her a certificate of appreciations, and we will keep it here at the library for when she is back in town and can come and pick it up.
It's very nice, thank you for doing that.
Okay, we got standing committee reports. First, policy review committee coming.
We have done that. Sorry. I thought. Right. Sorry. We have not met yet. We are meeting on Tuesday, thank you, here at the library.
Special events, fundraising, and outreach committee.
We also have not yet met, and we have had some difficulty with the date scheduling, so Ian had suggested waiting until after January 1st, if that's okay. Okay, so we will plan to meet sometime in January, and we'll follow the posting rules.
For the ad hoc committee reports, coffee shop committee, Ian?
So we had one committee meeting with Jackie, Nicole, and I, and the owners of Platitudes, and then I was discussing moving forward with Mark and Adam, and they suggested we move forward in a working meeting. So it's moving ahead, great. It's going to be a great addition, I hope, if everything goes through. I cannot discuss details at this time, though.
And I just had a thought, so, And I don't know, I wasn't at the coffee shop meeting, so I don't know what you all discussed, but I've been seeing emails about people who have questions or are curious about it. I just would like to make a suggestion, maybe in the course of it going forward. Would we ever consider like putting a suggestion box in the library, giving the people an opportunity to voice their questions or voice their comments? I think it makes people feel more attached to a project if they have an opportunity to voice their ideas. So I just wanted to extend that idea to you.
Yeah, I mean, you can do anything like that you want. With Mark Fitzgerald and the village attorney, we are moving ahead though, meeting with this. So a lot of the details have already been mapped out with them, but open to any suggestions.
Was there ever a thought of opening it up to other vendors besides just Latitudes? Is it still Jeff and Heidi? Are they still the owners?
No.
No. Yes.
We didn't see a reason to. The meeting on Monday went really well, and we don't have to open it up to others. So they are a local Menomonee Falls family, so we thought that was nice also, and they've worked with the village in the past.
Just some thoughts.
So moving forward, with this being the working group, whatever it's called, will this board still get the monthly update on our agenda?
I will give you updates every time I have something. So as soon as I know something else, I will bring it to your attention.
So we're no longer in a position to approve it. It's already approved and moving forward.
What will happen is if it's all approved internally, so a lease would have to be agreed upon between the village, between the village and the owners of the coffee shop. It will then be a three-party approval lease. So it will be the library board, the village board, and the coffee shop owners.
So we still have a say in it or not so much?
There will be a vote.
We are still
Yes.
voting in it. Okay. Thank you.
And when that gets brought to our vote, is there going to be like a proposal or something that, or how is that? Because there are a lot of details and a lot of questions that I personally have, I know that other people have had, and I don't know at what point those get addressed or when.
As soon as the lease is completed and agreed upon by the village attorney, and Latitudes, then that lease would be presented to everybody to read. The lease agreement, which would include all of the details.
Okay. And then we can ask any questions at that time as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Next up is the live streaming committee.
We have not met yet. We are meeting this Tuesday, the 21st.
Okay, now we're moving on to new business. Items for discussion, action, and possible approval. First, we're discussing and considering for approval the amendments to policy 1.01, the Library Board Bylaws.
So the only changes were the addition of the committees to this, and then the addition of the public comment period, referencing that the library board has a policy regarding public comment.
I move to approve the amendments to policy 1.01, Library Board Bylaws. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving amendments to policy 1.01, Library Board Bylaws, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next, we have discuss and consider for approval the 2024 annual addendum to the Bridges Library System member library and cafe agreements.
So every year, Bridges Library System sends this out and they request each library board approval of it. And What it is it's telling us how much we can expect to be paid via the various reimbursements. So there's the Waukesha County. That is for in-county reimbursement for in-county use of the library. The Prairie Lakes Library System, Bridges has a special contract with them. That's Racine and Walworth County. So we get reimbursement for any residents from those communities who use our library. And then there's also the Hoopla grant. So that's a grant that Bridges provides in order to help offset the cost of Hoopla. So next year we can anticipate $8,577. And then paid by the library, there's a few different charges. So our cost for database charges next year is going to be almost $2,200, $812 for the movie license. So we do a bulk purchase with other libraries in the Bridges library system in order to purchase the movie license, and that allows us to stream movies here for some of our public programming. Wisconsin Digital Library Content, so that is our contribution to the statewide overdrive library. So if you use Libby, we all pool our money together statewide in order to purchase material for that. So that's around $6,000. And then the Advantage program. The Advantage program is something that many library systems do. So in addition to purchasing the Wisconsin Digital Library content, we as a library system have the ability to purchase additional copies of high demand titles. So James Patterson, Danielle Steele, those titles that come out that have huge hold lists, Bridges can purchase additional ebook and audiobook copies that only go to Bridges patrons in order to help get those hold lists down. So we're going to be paying $7,700 into the Advantage program next year. And then there's also the CAFÉ fee. And that is to be part of the integrated library system, to have the catalog, and to be able to work with other libraries to share materials. As you can see, it was actually Carol's suggestion a few years ago to get a comparison of what we paid last year, what we're paying this year, just to see data from years past. You're going to notice some changes. So there's no longer a charge for digital programs or digital magazines this year because that service was canceled. So that was Flipster, which is a service that we offered through Bridges for many years. But you can now access magazines through Libby and Overdrive and also through Hoopla. So that service was dwindling and the money was best spent elsewhere. The other thing that you'll notice is that we're no longer paying for Gale courses. So the reason that the Bridges decided to eliminate Gale courses was due to the lack of use and the expensive nature of Gale courses. So it's approximately $75 per course for someone to sign up with a course. And what we were seeing is we would have people sign up for a course, so therefore the library system would have to pay for that, but they wouldn't actually complete the 6-week course. However, we do have Gale Presents Udemy, which is short on-demand learning content, which we're finding is more applicable to what patrons are looking for. They're looking for those short, I just want to learn a quick program, so I'm going to watch this 30-minute webinar versus a 6-week long course with an active instructor. So that was eliminated. And then for the first year, Bridges Library System is going to continue to pay for Udemy. Are there any questions about that? Okay.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the 2024 annual addendum to the Bridges Library System member library and cafe agreements, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next, we have the nominations for the library board secretary and treasurer position. So with Jessica resigning from the library board, we have to elect a new secretary/treasurer. Is there anybody who would like to nominate somebody? Or nominate themselves?
Yeah, you can nominate.
Can you tell me what the job entails? What does it mean to be secretary treasurer?
So the secretary portion is delegated in most instances to library staff. But obviously, if Ellen were not here or I was somehow incapable of taking the minutes, then that would fall on the secretary. The treasurer position has changed quite a bit with the new software. So there's really not a great deal of normal day-to-day interaction with that. I think that would be fair. If there were to be a finance committee eventually, then of course that would be the treasurer's responsibility to really organize that, figure out details, that sort of thing. But the biggest, I would say the biggest and most common responsibility would be in the absence of the library board president, the secretary treasurer would run the meeting.
Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Amy.
Sure. What do I have to do, accept? Yeah, I formally accept.
Do we vote next time? Or does
Yeah, we'll vote next.
Any other nominations? We will also have more nominations if anyone wants it before we vote next month. All right. Next we have the trustee education, chapter 7, the library board and library president.
A lot of this is review, but it basically just talks, we talked about this last month too, when I gave you that grid from the Department of Public Instruction on who's responsible for what. So just keeping in mind things like I, as the library director, can and should recommend personnel policy changes, but of course, those policies are not final until they're actually approved by the board. In terms of hiring staff, the library board is responsible for hiring the library director, and then the library director has the authority to hire the staff to fill those positions, which are authorized by the library board through the job description approval. And the library director or my designees also supervise those staff, but always keeping the library board informed of important personnel issues and consulting, if possible, before making significant personnel decisions. It talks a lot in this document about how the library will run most effectively. So they mentioned that the library will run most effectively if the board designates the director the responsibility for the day-to-day assignment of staff duties and supporting the recommendations of the director for changes in staff compensation within the policies. Talking about lines of communication, which are always very important. There's always the possibility or potential for a library employee to reach out to trustees if they have questions, comments, concerns regarding a situation or something that happened in the workplace. So in that situation, it's what trustees should do is really direct staff members to go back and talk to their supervisor, talk to their director, make sure that they are aware of policies, and have a conversation with them first. One of my goals for this year was to create a chain of communication guide for the library staff, and it includes the library board in that chain of communication. And it's almost done, so I've been working on it for a while. And that really provides a good direction for, okay, if you're a staff member and you're having a problem with something, you're gonna get the assistance you need, these are the steps that you can take. And it includes the library board in that because if we're getting into something like the library's grievance procedure, where there would be contact with the library board, making sure that everyone's aware that if they're having a problem in the workplace, there's a solution for that, and there are ways to communicate effectively for that. So I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the year, but we'll do our best. And then also talking about personnel policies, so we do have some libraries, we mostly follow the village's employee handbook for many things, but we do have some library-specific personnel policies that the board has approved, just for those unique things that really only apply to the library. But for the most part, in terms of the wage grid, things like that, we do rely heavily on that village employee handbook. And one of our policies is actually that we defer to the village's employee handbook unless we have a specific policy regarding that. The other section that's really pertinent is the continuing education for library staff, so making sure that we are adequately budgeting for staff continuing education and professional activities, making sure we're able to send as many people to conferences as we can. These are such invigorating experiences for the library staff, and it allows them to learn from colleagues throughout the state or the country on the best new things happening in libraries. So just making sure that we always have continuing education at the forefront of our staff development. And that is also one of our strategic plan goals, is to make sure that we are giving staff the most opportunities possible for continuing education, which I feel like this year we've demonstrated really well. We've been able to send many staff to conferences, some through grant funding, which has been really wonderful, and we're hoping to continue that moving forward. Are there any questions about that chapter? Comments? Okay.
So I'm gonna hear about the unions. Is there an employee union? I didn't know if there was.
We do not have a union for library employees here.
Any more questions? Then next is the library board president's report. So I don't have too much to report on this month. I was able to attend the first committee meeting for the coffee shop, and I met the owners of CAFÉ. I'm excited about the prospect of having a coffee shop in here, and they're also really excited. I think they are planning to, not have the village or the library on the hook for basically any type of funds or anything. So, I mean, there may be a little bit of cost, but we'll see. Obviously, that will be worked out. So, anyway. Also, Trustee Lessila has been great with spearheading this. I'm also excited to get started with the new committees in these coming weeks. Also, a reminder that the village board is going to be finalizing and voting on the budget at their November 20th meeting. So once we know what's been approved for the library, we can start planning on more in detail for next year. I can't believe it's already almost 2024, so that's all I got for now. And then also the vacant library board position. So based on a conversation that Jackie had with the village president, they will likely not be filling that position till she would be up for the reappointment. So in June, yeah. So basically in June is what I was informed of. So right now we're just kind of in a holding pattern. But I would still encourage anybody that if you wanted to be on the board to apply. it wouldn't hurt at this point. Next is the director's reports.
All right, so speaking of continuing education, in October, we were able to send some of our staff to the Wisconsin Library Association Conference in Middleton, which was really awesome. We got grant funding for that, so for a large part of that, so that's wonderful. And they were able to bring back some really good ideas, and in fact, one of our staff attended a program about a PBS Kids grant program, and she came back and applied for the grant and received it. So we're going to be having PBS Kids programming here at the library, which is really, really exciting. So yeah, we were super excited to hear about that. Also breaking news, it's not in my report, but we did receive another East Asia grant from UW-Madison. So we are going to be providing sushi rolling demonstrations for adults in the makerspace. So all of the ones that we did with the sushi rolling demonstrations for tweens and teens, the adults were like, we want this, so it was awesome to be able to get that grant. We had a very large presence at the Menomonee Fall Senior Fair, so we always have a booth during the resource fair where seniors can stop by and ask questions, learn about our different resources. We had about 120 people stop by the booth. I'm on the Senior Fair Committee, so I was working there to organize the event. And then also library staff, including Ellen, along with some of our dedicated volunteers, gave a presentation about local history, and it got really great reviews in the feedback survey. So that was a really fun outreach event. Another program spotlight that I wanted to talk about, one of our strategic plan goals was to really help seniors and everyone, not just seniors, but everyone with their technology needs. We are sort of a first place stop for, I can't get my iPad to work, I got this Kindle for Christmas, what do I do? So our adult services librarian developed the Sip and Swipe CAFÉ technology programs, where he has a small group of geared towards seniors come in with their iPhone or their Kindle, and he walks them through some of the quick tips and gives them one-on-one advice, and that has gotten rave reviews. People are walking away super, super satisfied, so that's been a great addition to our program lineup.
Who is that person?
That's John.
Where is the senior fair?
The senior fair is at the C and Rec department, yeah. In terms of statistics, I just wanted to point out that our e-circulation, our digital circulation, continues to skyrocket, particularly Hoopla and then Libby and Overdrive. I think a lot of that has to do with the addition of magazines to Libby, which has been really, really great. And then Hoopla is just continuing to take off with more and more of our patrons signing up for it every month. So looking at the trends of physical circulation, it's still doing great, but e-circulation is also growing. So that's good to see, because a lot of people are like, well, do people really check out physical books anymore when everything's, you know, on your Kindle? Yes, they do, and they also are checking out ebooks and audiobooks from the library as well. So that was just a fun trend that I've been keeping tabs on. I talked a little bit about some upcoming programs and initiatives. The Forge is having their second annual art and craft book sale. All the proceeds benefit the programs in the makerspace, so that is going to be coming up December 1st through the 30th. Wanted to shout out Bailey, the therapy dog, who comes a couple Saturdays a month, and she's able to read with the kids read to her. So that's been really, really popular. And then we also have a memory cafe coming up for those who have early stage memory loss and their care partner. That's going to be coming up on November 20th. And we are going to be celebrating fall and making a decorative plaque. So that's all I have.
Couple quick questions.
Sure.
So what is PBS Kids? What do they do?
So PBS Kids is going to be doing, we're going to be doing some programming based on their educational content with some of their, top programs, the most popular programs for the kids. And then we bring in, so our staff person who got the grant, Morgan, one of our children's librarians, she's going to be going through an intensive training with PBS in order to put the content of the shows that the kids are watching and then bring that educational content into the library through a variety of different programming.
That sounds very cool. And then I just want to say, I think the IT senior services sounds great. What age does that start at?
It's
It's geared towards seniors. It's geared towards senior citizens, I think is what it says.
Over 55?
Sure.
Over
Sure.
I don't think he would.
I don't think he would, I really don't.
You do spell theory, I do, yes. All right, now next is you, Ann. All right, so we had Chief Waters came and gave a quarterly report, and our police force is amazing. However, I will tell you, they are in desperate need of police aides and officers. They're really struggling to fill those positions, and a lot of that's just due to, I think what's going on in the world. And then the board voted down a rezoning off of Manhart Drive. That was for Rivian electric vehicles. And the board also voted down rezoning of 12 acres off of Custer Lane, which would have been for Teen Challenge. Overall, everyone agrees that is a great organization, and it's not that we wouldn't welcome them to the falls, but it was just not the right location. And that's pretty much it for me. And the school district report?
We've just started our benefits open enrollment with all staff. So we were projecting a 10% increase in all of our benefits, health insurance, dental insurance, all that sort of thing. And thankfully with our HR department and finance department and external brokers, we've been able to keep expenses for those important benefits cost neutral by creating a tiered system. And it has allowed for us to increase some benefits as well, which is wonderful for our staff, including HSAs for the first time in the history of the district, which we're excited about, and some insurances for our support staff that have never existed before. So one of the cool programs that's new is actually called NICE. The acronym is NICE. Some other school districts have piloted it. We're paying for it with these, like I said, cost-neutral approach, and piloting it this year to see how effective it is. One of the big claims to fame with NICE is that they'll do in-home care. So if you need regular, like a blood work or something, they'll come to your house. And that sort of thing. Even x-rays. Yeah, it's actually quite, we're very excited about the possibility, and it's in this renewal for this year, so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to enroll myself just to see how great it is. The district kicked off the strategic planning process for 2024 to 2029. So our facilitator is going to be Studer. We've already worked with Studer with our continuous improvement for multiple years. So they'll be our facilitators. We kicked it off the other evening with a very good presentation and started that strategic planning process. Student achievement numbers were released statewide today for the school report cards, including for us. And I have a newsletter out concerning that I think is being pushed out tomorrow. So generally speaking, our focus is going to be on several different things, but it'll be the ELA curriculum review along with social studies. So we will be having new ELA and social studies materials by the end of the year, with a focus, refocusing on reading.
Is that connected to the parent survey that went out about the social studies curriculum?
The social studies curriculum, it's my understanding before I arrived, it's been some years since it's been redone. So it was up for renewal. It just happens to be tied to ELA, English. We put them together. There's some additional federal funds, one-time funds, which we're going to utilize $500,000 to $600,000, so that we don't have to hit recurring funds with that, because it is a large move. So there's a lot of staff involved in looking at multiple resources for not just social studies, but also English, and reading.
Next is the Menomonee Falls Library Friends reports.
David, should I have some?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, highlights of yesterday's meeting. The board members were pleased to hear that the memorandum of understanding had been approved by the library board with minor revisions. They also expressed enthusiasm for the planned yearly meeting between the board and the Friends to exchange dialogue and conversation. Number two, there was conversation about planning special opportunities to thank the library staff for all their hard work. Perhaps a treat or a note, maybe monthly, maybe quarterly, maybe just because. More conversation is to come about that. There was discussion about planned give-back events for the end of this year and into 2024. Ross continues to research viable restaurants in the Menomonee Falls area. That topic will be revisited again next month. And lastly, there's continued conversation about a Friends newsletter. We have two Michelles on the Library Friends, and so Michelle C. volunteered as editor, and thinks perhaps we might have a newsletter by the end of the year. So.
Is the give back thing, that's when you go to the restaurant?
Yes, yes. Any suggestions, I'm sure they would be grateful to hear about that. So.
All right, so that'll wrap up our meeting. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, December 20th, 2023, here in the community room at 6 o'clock p.m. So then we're going to convene into closed session now under Wisconsin State Statute 19.851C with the Library Board, the Library Director, Village Attorney, and Village Director of Human Resources, Assistant Village Attorney, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibilities for the purposes of discussing the Library Director's performance. Any motion?
Make a motion.
Second. Motion to approve meeting into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
If anybody hasn't given me their form, please do that.